Before we start this tutorial, massive trigger warning or whatever you want to call it, I'm going to show a lot of bug bites and you might think that doesn't matter, but there are dozens and dozens and it might trigger something in you, so you've been warned. Anyways, recently I got a shitload of bug bites. Long story short, I went to my friend's main log cabin and there was some kind of bug infestation, and point being, something about my blood type or my pheromones or whatever, it just attracts all the bugs to me, and I was spending the last 2 nights literally just rubbing my leg up and down, being like, please let it end. I can't go to sleep. I can't fall asleep. And I thought, let's use visual effects to get rid of a couple of those bug bites. So you can see in this case, these 2 bug bites we're going to try to get rid of to at least pretend like I can alleviate some of this itching, because in real life I can't. I tried to put cortisone. It helped, but these have been some rough nights of sleep. Anyways, how do you remove bug bites or acne, or all of this is the same process? This is the tutorial we're doing. Well, first of all, record some footage of whatever it is you want to remove. Perfect. Now in Blender, we're going to track it and get rid of it. So in the movie clip editor, I'm going to import in the footage. So here's all that gross shit you just saw. I think I picked this shot. I'm going to hit set scene frames to make sure that our endpoint is set to the number of frames it is, so 156 in this case. Hit prefetch to load the footage into memory, and yes, this is what we are trying to remove. And actually, let's set the color transform to be normal. So I'm going to remove this bug bite, and I think this one, and let's have it play a bit faster at something closer to 30 frames per second. We're going to remove those 2 bug bites. How do we do that? We're going to track them so we know the location of them. I'm going to mask those areas and then say for those areas, sample a different part of the skin or something. So again, works for acne, works for anything. So for the tracker, I'm going to enable normalize. So any new tracker I add, right, these ones, they're going to have the normalize option. What it means is if there's a little change in lighting, if there's a bit of lighting variation, it's not going to care about that. It's still going to keep tracking, which usually is the case. So enable normalize, add in a tracker, control click over your dot, S for scale, Alt S for the search area. If you've never tracked before, we are tracking this pattern area within the bounds of the search area. Whatever, let's just track it. Control T to track forwards. Hopefully you already know how to track. Okay, so that's one tracker done. Another one, let's remove this one. And you could repeat this process for all these bug bites, by the way. Although there's so many. Either way, control click to add a tracker again. S for scale. And by the way, everything I've been doing, you can also do in this area, like the search window and all this. But we're going to scale it, lock onto the tracker by hitting L so that when we track forwards, like frame by frame by frame, it stays centered, and Control T to track forwards. Beautiful. So here we have the 2 bug bites we want to remove. Okay. What I'm going to do with this tracker information is I'm going to now convert this into a mask, an area saying this is where we want to affect, and we're going to make that mask super easily using these trackers. So in the movie clip editor, go from tracking to masking. So yes, you can mask inside of Blender. There's a full-blown compositor in here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new mask. I'm going to call this bite 1. We're going to make 2 masks. So bite 1 is going to be a circle. So shift A circle. Just position that. Let's turn off lock. Just position that. There we go. Over the bug bite. So this is the circular mask saying this is the area we want to affect. You're going to see when we click the play button, it doesn't follow with our bug bite. So shift click the tracker, Control P to parent, which basically means this mask. If I can actually, whoops. I'm trying to select it. Doesn't want to be selected, but this mask is now parented to this tracker is what we did. So you can see it's now moving with it. Let's repeat that process. So I'm going to make another new mask. This is going to be bite number 2. And this one's going to be another circular mask. Position it over the other tracker, just like that. Scale it down. You can see it's not parented to anything. Well, you just shift click the tracker, Control P, and now it should be parented. There we go. So we have 2 different masks, one following one area and another following another area. Let's do something with that. So in the compositor, we're actually not going to do anything in this layout 3D viewport. We don't need anything. We're just going to be manipulating the footage. So in the compositor, we are going to import in our movie clip, which we could just do directly since we've already loaded in the footage. So view that footage. View it, and I'm also going to connect it to the compositor. So viewing is what we see, compositing is what gets outputted when we hit render. So we want to make sure whatever we do is sent to both of these. So you can see here's the original footage. The 2 bug bites we're talking about still exist, right? as we play through it. We haven't done anything to them. Let's remove them. To do this, I'm going to import in our mask information via nodes. So one mask node is going to store byte number 1. You can see we can load in these masks. And you're going to notice that this circle should now be following where that bug byte was. It's actually taking that motion information. And by the way, since it has motion information, the tracker information, you can enable motion blur and it will calculate that for you. I'm just going to add in a bit. But we have our mask. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a transform node. And you're thinking, why? Why is he doing this? For this bug byte that we're trying to isolate and get rid of, I'm going to get rid of it by like sampling a piece of skin a bit to the side and pasting it on top of it. So it's like I'm clone stamping with video. So that's what the translate is for. So I'm going to use an alpha over to put one on top of the other. So I'm going to put the transformed one on top of this, which means right now if I was to like transform the footage, it's going to move everything over, as you just saw. But we only want to do it inside the realm of this mask. So now, if I move this, you can see it's only moving inside of that masks. So now it's really just the game of finding the perfect numbers. So I'm just like, again, what's happening is I'm moving the footage, but only inside this area. So it looks like we're getting rid of the bug byte. So just pick some numbers that kind of look like they make sense. This looks okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this mask and feather it so that it's not so obvious. So here's our mask. A dilate in a road node will let us like feather to make the mask a bit softer. And basically what that means is it's going to blend in a bit more. So something like that. So you may want to make sure you don't mask it or feather it too much. Otherwise, you're going to start seeing the original footage underneath, the original bug byte. So I'm just going to pick some numbers. And the reason we did 2 different masks for these is we might want to have 2 different transforms for each of these because we might want to sample different parts of the skin. So you just want to keep playing with this. Long story short, it's going to look okay as long as you don't know it was originally there because you only see it because you're looking for it. But let's see. Here's the original footage. Here is our masked moved version. So you can see now it's been hidden a bit. And by the way, quick thing we can do to make this look a bit better. Back in the movie clip editor, back in masking, we can interact with this mask live. So I'm just going to make it a tiny bit bigger so it fills in more area. And that's going to let us feather just a bit more. There we go. Now it's starting to really blend in. So here's the before, bug byte, after, beautiful. Let's move on to the next mask or next bug byte, same process. So we just duplicate this. Honestly, we could probably duplicate most of this. So this one is going to be byte number 2. And we are going to alpha over again a translated version of the footage. Whoops. So I'm just repeating this process for every single one. It's tedious, but it works. And let's see, which one are we trying to isolate this time? We are isolating a bug byte over here, apparently. So let's see what that looks like. Okay, so here is the original. Here's the after. So you can see it's a bit better, but you can definitely still see the bug byte. So for this other mask, I'm going to make it bigger so we can do more feathering and stuff like that. Yeah, this mask is super tiny. So I hit L to select the linked ones. I just scale that up, compositing. Let's see what we can do with this. So I'm going to reset these numbers. That will let me, it's very hard to tell where this bug byte is. Okay, so I've reset the numbers, so now I can re-input them and see what we get. So that already looks pretty good. Let's shift it a bit more. That looks good. This one's a bit, I don't know if it's easier or trickier because of the leg hair. It makes it, I guess, easier to blend in or something. I don't know. I'm just going to pick some different values for this until it's looking kind of hidden. I think that looks pretty good. So focus on this area before and then after. And the key insight about this is like, yeah, we're doing it for this one frame and it's hidden and the itchiness goes away. But because we're doing this with trackers, and this is all tracker dependent, as we go down the footage, it should remain hidden and sample roughly the same part of the skin, depending on the camera movement. So here, you probably couldn't even see it unless you're looking for it. Here's the before, bug byte, and after. It's not perfect, but it does the job. You could go in much more detailed and animate these numbers, etc. But when you're happy with this, again, it propagates along this whole footage. We can render this as a video. What kind of video? Usually an MP4 with lossless quality. And I'm going to call this file in the bug bytes. I'm going to call this removed. Yay. If only it worked like that in the real world. Render out this footage. And what it's going to do is it's going to render out this like nightmare footage, put in the masked areas with the translated footage on top, which will make it look like the bug bites are removed. And it's going to output that as a video. Literally, as I'm talking about this, I'm scratching my arms. It wasn't only my feet. It definitely was mostly my feet since they came from the ground, I theorize. Like they do fly though, which was weird, but they mainly came from the ground and started climbing up the leg, which is why they're the densest. The bug bites distribution is densest near the bottom. Either way, 156 frames. I can talk for that long. Watch me. I'm doing it right now. I could talk about anything and nothing. And my brain just froze like a deer in front of the headlights. 156 frames. Beautiful. Let's see the output. Again, we're not expecting the best thing since we just kind of did a rough pass, but it should be good enough. So again, here's the source footage. There's a bug bite here that we removed and one here. And now we have our removed one, which doesn't actually have those bug bites anymore. So it's kind of underwhelming because that's what it would look like. We just removed the bug bites. So anyways, hopefully you learned something in this tutorial. I think it's now over. So this is the part of the tutorial where I sell out and tell you about Patreon. There's a link in the description for it. And let me tell you about why you should or maybe shouldn't join. So Patreon is a place where you can support these tutorials and also CG Matter tutorials. Both of those are linked to the same account. And in doing so, you get benefits in exchange. So, God, it's my arm. First of all, you get early access to tutorials. So this tutorial you could have seen a day early. A lot of the tutorials I upload, you could have seen earlier than when I released it. Additionally, you get project files, whether that be a blend or in this case, it would probably just be the source footage. So you could try removing bug bites yourself. You get source files, whatever that may be for most projects over the last 3 years. So you can just go and download all of those. There are plenty of blends, plenty of procedural things to download. Also, every once in a while, I make an exclusive tutorial, not too often, but just a couple times a month that exists. And yeah, but if you want to support these tutorials, that's the way to do it. Link in the description. Make sure to smash that, the thing. And yeah,